If you're thinking about moving to the Bellingham, Washington area and you are looking for a quiet neighborhood, one where you wake up, you can hear the birds chirping, you can get on your bike and take a trail ride to go get coffee. You could go out on the trail and you're just minutes away from walking through an 400-acre plus park to a waterfall. Well, this is Alabama Hill neighborhood. And today I'm going to share all the details you might need to know to make a decision if this neighborhood is the right one for you. My name's Tim Cornwell, and I've been a real estate agent here in the Bellingham area for the last 14 plus years. And I've lived in this area all my life. And my intention with this channel is to share with you information about Bellingham beyond. Bellingham, Whatcom County, Skagit County, different neighborhoods, things to know about the area, so that you can make a good decision on where you might want to live. Now, I love working with people that are looking to relocate to the Bellingham area, so I look forward to sharing my experience and knowledge with you so you can make the best decision on where to move in Bellingham and beyond. Let's talk location of the Alabama Hill neighborhood. And we are in central Bellingham, but we are east of Interstate 5. As you can see behind me, it is a hill. That's Alabama Hill right there. I'm on Alabama Street, and let's take a look going the other way. So as you make your way up Alabama Hill and you get to the top, it actually will take you right to Lake Whatcom, which is super cool. But the neighborhood is divided by Alabama Street. There are side streets that go off to the north and side streets that go off to the south. And if you imagine Alabama Street going up the hill as a tree trunk, and all those side streets are the branches. And those branch streets, as you take them, they will not get you to any other part of Bellingham. They all dead end or going through a park, but you cannot get to any other part of Bellingham. In and out of the Alabama Hill neighborhood is all the traffic is on Alabama Street. So what that means is homes that are closer to Alabama Street are going to be a little more noisy. You're going to hear road noise, cars going up or down. But as you get further away from Alabama, it does get very quiet, and there's very little traffic on a lot of those side streets the further away you get from Alabama because there's less houses. You're not going to get through traffic that are going through there. Basically, anybody that lives in your neighborhood are probably going to be the only cars driving up and down the street. So that does create a sense of safety. It's also much quieter, and something that I think a lot of people desire. It's a desirable element to the neighborhood. And speaking of parks, the Alabama Hill neighborhood is surrounded by parks. To the south, we have Whatcom Falls Park, which is a massive park. To the east, we have Blow Donovan Park and Lake Whatcom. To the north, we have Big Rock Park. And there's actually two small parks right in the neighborhood itself. And then probably the coolest recreational feature in the neighborhood that everybody appreciates is the railroad trail. So there is a trail that goes all the way from the Whatcom Falls Park all the way through the neighborhood, and then it takes you down into the Barkley Village neighborhood. And that railroad trail connects as part of the interurban trail system in Bellingham. So it's a great connector that gets you through town, and walking, running, biking, strollering, whatever mode of transportation you would use on a trail, that's great for the railroad trail to get you through the neighborhood and into other parts of the city. Okay, I'm over on St. Clair Street here in the Alabama Hill neighborhood, just showing you typical street scenes. And we'll take a little walk over here to St. Clair Park. So Alabama Hill neighborhood, what is the evolution? How did this all start? So let's think about back in the 1890s when Bellingham was originally being settled. A lot of logging coming off of Lake Whatcom, and then a lot of coal mining, milling of lumber, fishing, all kinds of different commercial activities like that. And so Bellingham got settled around Bellingham Bay. Neighborhoods and little communities like Fairhaven, South Hill, downtown Bellingham, the lettered streets, the Columbia neighborhood, and areas like that. Those were all built in the late 1890s, early 1900s, and they're all very blocky, very right-angled city blocks. But then in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, so let's say that 40, 50-year period, Bellingham needed to expand beyond those existing neighborhoods that were built out. And so they looked at Alabama Hill and they thought, hey, now that we have cars, we can go ahead and build a suburban neighborhood away from these urban neighborhoods. And so there's some trade-offs with that. Up here in Alabama Hill, they were able to use that main arterial Alabama and then build all these side streets. So with those side streets, you get very quiet, low traffic side streets. And then you get the type of architecture of homes that were built in the 50s through the 80s, actually into the 90s. And there were some thoughtful elements put into the neighborhood, like right behind me, St. Clair Park. This is a park that's right in the neighborhood itself. And there's a big green area. We have a playground, there's a bathroom, public bathroom. And actually, there's a trailhead right here that goes into the trails that'll take you out to Whatcom Falls Park. So back to the neighborhood. So we're on a hillside. So a lot of these houses built in the 50s through the 90s, let's say, had to be built on the hillside. So you get a lot of daylight basement type homes. A little bit bigger homes. You don't get the smaller homes. You're going to see, probably 1,800 square feet and up, 3 to 4 bedroom. A lot of split levels. Remember how popular those split levels were back in the 70s and 80s? Well, we do see a lot of that up on Alabama Hill. And with that, you get these big basements. And so you get that second living space that is really designed to appeal to families. And so you'll get, a lot of times you'll have 3 bedrooms upstairs, you'll have a full basement downstairs with living space and maybe another bedroom down there, and a bathroom, of course, 2-car garage. But really, Alabama Hill neighborhood was designed around cars, the fact that people had cars. And so there's not a lot of walkability here. It's really designed to drive to your home and then drive from your home to work, to shopping, to school. And yeah, so walkability is a little bit of a challenge for the neighborhood. There's no school actually in the neighborhood. There's not a single school within the boundaries of the Alabama Hill neighborhood. There's not a single school, nor is there a single retail establishment. There's no shopping, there's no restaurants, there's no cafes. It is 100% residential in nature. And one of the cool things they were able to integrate into the neighborhood, knowing that people are like, hey, we don't want to be totally tied to our cars forever. We do like natural settings and being connected to nature, is they built this trail system, which I'm walking on right now. And the main trail that goes through the neighborhood is the railroad trail. And the railroad trail used to be a railroad track. And they brought lumber, so the logs would float across Lake Whatcom. They'd go to mills up at Blowdell Donovan, and then Blowdell Donovan would mill the logs, and then they put them on rail cars, and then they would send those rail cars down to Bellingham Bay to be shipped. And what we've done here in this neighborhood is we have taken that railroad track and converted it into the railroad trail. And then we have extensive trails throughout Bellingham. So I can be in the Alabama Hill neighborhood, jump on my bike, go for a run, go for a walk, take my stroller, and I can go to Blowdell Donovan, I can go downtown, I can get all the way to Fairhaven from here. Shoot, I could go all the way to Larrabee State Park down in Chuckanut Drive on my bike, or you could e-bike on here too. That is a very popular new mode of transportation around town. But yeah, on Alabama Hill neighborhood, you are gonna see some of these homes that are a bit frozen in time. There's 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s style. They've never replaced the cabinets or the countertops or the carpeting. I've been in those homes. I have a client right now who kind of inherited this home from her parents. It's how she grew up in. It does not look one bit different than when she grew up in it in the 1970s. But then you'll see other houses that have been totally renovated and updated and they're amazing. So I have some other friends that bought a house over on Maryland Street, and they have done an incredible job with updating and improving that property. They've actually got a pickleball court in their backyard, beautiful views of Bellingham Bay. So with Alabama Hill, there's a lot of variety. You can get a fixer-upper or something that's kind of frozen in time, or you can get something that's really been dialed in and is beautiful. Now, because there's so much mature trees and landscaping, those view properties are cherished. So just because you're on the hill and you think you're gonna have a view, it's not necessarily true because of the vegetation. So when they built it out, I'm sure all those houses up there were like, man, these views are incredible. But over time, those trees grow, those bushes grow, and now not every single property will have a view, but there is that potential. So like I said, you can get all price ranges. You can get fixer-uppers, you can get beautiful, nice homes, and most of the lots are a little bit bigger up here. So there is a lot of variety depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for move-in ready, turnkey, view property, everything's dialed, you're gonna be $1 million plus. But if you're like, hey, I wanna buy something, I'm willing to do sweat equity and I'm willing to fix it up myself, then you could get something $500 to $600 perhaps. Average price in Alabama Hill this last 12 months is $800,000. That's the average sales price, 37 sales over the last 12 months. And that kind of gives you an idea of what it's like. Now, I just basically walked from that neighborhood over on St. Clair, went to St. Clair Park, and here I am on this trail. So you can connect with nature real quick out here. And so there's some information about the Alabama Hill neighborhood to help you make a better decision on where you want to live. If you're starting to picture yourself moving to the Bellingham area, and specifically you think the Alabama Hill neighborhood might be right for you, well, I love working with relocation buyers, people that are seeking the best place to land in the Bellingham area. Love to the opportunity to work with you, hear what your story is, hear what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish, how I might be able to help. And maybe we can put a plan together to get you here and get you into the right neighborhood for the right price at the right time. My contact information is below. Feel free to reach out. Would love to connect. So let's move forward and keep talking about all things Alabama Hill neighborhood. When I say that the Alabama Hill neighborhood is close to parks, well, I am at Blowdale Donovan Park right here on Lake Whatcom. And I bet from anywhere in the Alabama Hill neighborhood, you can be to right where I'm standing in 10 minutes or less. I'd say many parts of the neighborhood, you can be here in 5 minutes or less. So Lake Whatcom, what can you do? You can paddleboard, you can wakeboard, you can water ski, you can swim, you can e-foil. I've done the e-foiling on the electric surfboard. You could play water volleyball, you could play polo, you could sunbathe. There's so many different things you can do at a lakefront park that is less than 10 minutes from your front door. So that makes Alabama Hill a great neighborhood for people that like proximity to outdoor recreation, especially everything that Lake Whatcom has to offer. When it comes to parks, I can't think of a neighborhood in the Bellingham area that has more parks close by than the Alabama Hill Street neighborhood. So this is Highland Heights Park, and this one is right in the neighborhood itself. I am surrounded by homes right off of Vining Street, and it's got a basketball court, it's got a play set for the kids, got some picnic tables, some benches, grassy area, absolutely delightful. There's also another park just on the other side of Alabama Street called St. Clair Park that's equally as enchanting. But the big one is Whatcom Falls Park, 400 plus acres. Whatcom Falls itself, waterfalls, a huge creek area, huge creek, I don't know about huge creek, but a beautiful creek. And there's playgrounds there, tennis courts, there's a pump track for the kids on the bikes, there's a fish hatchery, and a little fishing derby pond up there. So, you know, Whatcom Falls Park is absolutely gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's expansive, there are trails everywhere. There's also Blowdale Donovan Park, which is right on Lake Whatcom. It is a lakefront park with a boat launch and swimming beach, docks, the whole 9 yards. And then there's Big Rock Park right over my shoulder on the other side of Highland Heights Park. So parks everywhere. And then the main connector of all these parks is a trail system. The railroad trail will get you to all the parks I just described. The railroad trail connects then to the interurban trail system, which gets you all over Bellingham. So even though Alabama Hill neighborhood is designed as a suburban part of the city, and it was really the original designers back in the 50s and 60s, they were thinking cars, you know, we're gonna drive our car to our home, and then we'll go to town in our car to go shopping and eating at restaurants and go to school and those kind of things. But with our trail system, it has created a lot of connectivity that does not require a car. So that's the great thing about the neighborhood today, is that you've got connectivity through the trail system, and of course, a lot of streets to get you to places you need to go if you do need to get in a car and drive. Right now, I'm at the corner of Barkley Boulevard and Woburn, right at the heart of Barkley Village. And Barkley Village is just at the base of Alabama Hill. So really, from anywhere on Alabama Hill, you can get right down to this highly dense, concentrated commercial retail area. It's kind of the financial district of Bellingham. We've got a lot of banks, financial services companies, but we also have medical facilities and a little bit of manufacturing and shopping. So there's a movie theater. We have a big grocery store here. So you can get to Barkley Village anywhere in the Alabama Hill neighborhood in 10 minutes or less. But as we think about other parts of Bellingham and proximity to Alabama Hill neighborhood, you can get off to the airport probably in 15 minutes, down to Fairhaven in 15 minutes. You can get downtown Bellingham, I would say, in 10 minutes. Now, of course, you can drive down to Barkley Village, but the railroad trail will take you right here into Barkley Village. So you can walk, you can run, you can bike, easy access on the trail, or of course, driving will get you here as well. So if you wanted to shop at Costco, it's like, hey, I want to shop Costco. Again, you're less than 15 minutes to Costco from here, because we are central Bellingham, east side of Interstate 5. But you can get from Alabama Hill down to I-5. It probably depends on the lights. I'm going to say 7 minutes. So I would say 50 minutes or less out to Costco. Whole Foods, about the same time. The airport, 15 minutes or less. Pretty much anywhere in the greater Bellingham area, you're going to be able to get to in 15 minutes or less. So that's a pretty good location. So there you go. That's Barkley Village, right next to Alabama Hill neighborhood. So who is this neighborhood for? In my mind, I think it's a very kid-friendly neighborhood. Because of the way the streets work, where they all dead end or they loop around to the street above or below them, there's not a lot of traffic. And so I really think kid-friendly because it feels safe. And then the other thing is, if I'm a mom and I'm worried about my kid out there riding their bike in busy streets, well, this railroad trail is awesome because they can just jump out on the trail right to wherever they want, to their friend's house here in the neighborhood, and they don't have to worry about traffic. So I think it is a very kid-friendly neighborhood. That makes it very attractive for families to be here. The other one I think it's good for if you are an empty nester and you're like, single level living is what we want. We don't want any stairs. Well, there are tons of ramblers here in the Alabama Hill neighborhood. And with those ramblers, that attracts other empty nesters. So if you're like my age, maybe a little bit older, then this is a great neighborhood for that home type. So here's the take on the Alabama Hill neighborhood. It's not flashy, it's not luxury waterfront. What it is a stable, established neighborhood here in central Bellingham. Now, you're not going to be able to walk to your local wine bar from here, but for those people that are outdoor minded, want quick access to parks, want a central location to get anywhere in Bellingham in about 15 minutes or less, and want stable, quiet, family friendly, this could be a great place for you. If this sounds right for you, reach out, let's talk about it. You can call, text, or email me, or schedule a Zoom call. I work with people all the time who are thinking about relocating here to Bellingham, and perhaps Alabama Hill might be the right one for you. Let's talk about it. I'm Tim Cornwell, and it has been so fun sharing with you everything about the Alabama Hill neighborhood. And if you found value in this video, please like it, subscribe, hit the notifications button, share this video with your friends and family as you're thinking about moving to the Bellingham area. let's connect, let's put a plan together. And I'm excited to continue to share information about this great area we call Bellingham and beyond.